Welcome to Emovura Audiobooks. Every mystery begins with a single clue. Every clue leads to another question, and every question hides a truth. This is Emovura Crime Files. Rewind. Original crime stories. Today's story. Marina 12. Let's rewind the evidence. The end. The boat named Marina 12 went up in a single deafening orange flash at the dock, loud enough to rattle windows 2 full streets back and send seagulls scattering off every nearby roofline in a single panicked wave. Casper Lindgren was pulled from the cold, oily water, still coughing violently, still soaked completely through, and within the hour, still wrapped in a borrowed emergency blanket, standing under arrest on the pier while investigators combed carefully through what little remained of the smoking hull, photographing every twisted piece of metal. A harbor patrol officer who'd known Casper for 15 years kept asking him quietly, off to the side, whether he was sure he didn't want to just tell them what happened before the insurance people showed up and made everything worse. Casper stared at the water and said nothing at all. The insurance policy on the boat, it took the adjuster all of 10 minutes to discover, once she pulled the file, had quietly doubled exactly 2 days earlier, a coincidence nobody on scene was willing to call a coincidence out loud. Hours earlier, before dawn that morning, alone on the boat where he'd told absolutely no one he would be visiting that early, Casper had carefully disabled the bilge pump and deliberately loosened a propane line, timing the whole thing precisely for the one empty, silent hour before his crew usually began arriving for the day's catch. His hands had shaken the whole time, badly enough that he'd had to stop twice and grip the rail until it passed. He had very nearly been caught red-handed by a dockhand, starting an unexpected early shift that same morning. A shift, it turned out only later, his own teenage son had quietly picked up the night before, without ever mentioning it to him at dinner, wanting to surprise his father with the extra hours on his paycheck. Days earlier, 2 days before that close call, his longtime insurance broker, Yusuf Demir, had happened to call with an entirely unsolicited total loss rider upgrade, an offer Casper hadn't asked for, and honestly, genuinely couldn't afford, but signed anyway that same afternoon. Already 3 full payments behind to the fishing co-op, and rapidly running out of new ways to explain the shortfall to his wife over dinner. Weeks earlier, Yusuf had only known to make that particular timely call because Casper's own brother-in-law, who worked quietly inside the insurance company's underwriting department, reviewing exactly these kinds of policies, had flagged the exact policy gap to him weeks earlier. One small family favor passed quietly along to another, neither man ever once calling it, out loud, what it actually was. The beginning. Casper's family had fished those same cold waters for 3 full generations before him. The boat itself, proudly named for his own grandfather's very first vessel, inherited completely, free and clear, debt-free, a genuinely rare thing in that struggling fishing town where most boats changed hands through bankruptcy sales. It was Casper himself who remortgaged it years earlier to modernize the engine and gear against the quiet advice of nearly everyone who loved him. The very first domino in a slow debt spiral that no single good fishing season ever quite managed to fully repay afterward, no matter how good the catch was some years. The dockhand, who almost caught him lighting the fuse of his own ruin that cold morning, was his own son, working his very first shift ever aboard the boat that carried their whole family's name proudly across its stern. Casper had come within a matter of minutes of very nearly killing his own child to collect a single insurance check he'd already decided he needed more than he needed to look too closely at what it would cost him. You've just listened to Emovura Crime Files Rewind. If you enjoyed today's mystery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new case. Thanks for listening to Emovura Audiobooks.